to do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right. Hey, how are we doing out there tonight or this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you're at? It's time right now for the Conservative Syndicate, nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, and we're glad to have you with us this great, as I said, afternoon, morning, evening, depending on where you're at. One thing about our show, it's prime time, sometime, all the time, someplace, and we're glad to have you with us today. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we have kind of a full agenda for you today. We started some of this stuff. I think we're getting back on track here on exhausting specific topics rather than just kind of doing the news gambit kind of thing. We kind of fell into that the last few weeks, but you know, you gotta take a break sometimes. I mean, there's a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of stuff that goes on when you get into, you know, topic sensitive type of things. You know, you can't just go with a couple of news articles or headlines or whatever. And but there's a couple things happening here, I think, materializing before our very eyes that I just can't help but think is not going to somewhere play out here in the next 70 some odd days between now and the election coming up in November. So, having said that, let me get my partner in crime on here. How you doing tonight, Joe?
I'm good, John. It's Panhandle is wonderful once again, and we got what some people would call a monsoon, but it's just a typical, just a nice late summer shower. But other folks, I was listening to watching a thing on the local television, and it's a local station touting their weather, and it's like, the weather has changed. I'm like, the weather has changed in a billion years. What are you talking about? It rains, it snows, it gets cold, it gets warm. Maybe it gets windy sometimes. What's changed?
I always get a kick. I laugh about out here in California. If we have a really foggy day with drizzle, we got the reporters out here on storm watch. It's really funny, but it does. I find it humorous, we get a little bit of rain, or like I said, I've seen days out here where it's just been like 5 or 6 hours to just kind of like drizzle. The fog. We have fog out here like crazy, and especially during the change of seasons when the cold air from coming in from the beach hits the hot air coming in over the mountains or whatever, and we get a lot of fog. And so if it gets too foggy, then it drizzles. And boy, you see the people down there at Channel 7 News especially, they don their little windbreakers, their little raincoats, and go down to the beach and talk about the storm watch.
Yeah, storm watch. You mean like the floods in Louisiana?
Yeah. I don't think we've ever had floods that bad. We've had high tides come in here, and pretty much destroy the coast, but we're not really, we're a desert, for crying out loud. So it's not like we have floods coming in so much. We have mudslides in some of the hilly areas, after fires, because that's one thing California does well. It burns.
It burns really good there. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I remember cutting the grass, throwing a rock, and starting a fire.
Yeah. I often wonder if this isn't God's real depiction of what hell is like. Everything looks beautiful, but it's hot and it burns all the time. So I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to speaking of flooding here, my favorite climate change guy is out there telling us, warning us once again. This guy is a mechanical engineer turned climate change expert. Bill Nye, the science guy.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And I'm the Pope.
Yeah, the only time I've ever listened to this guy that I thought he was even remotely entertaining was when he guest appeared on The Big Bang Theory one time as the anti-nemesis of Professor Proton, played by Bob Newhart.
Well, I like the thing that thing he used to have on that show of his that guy dressed up in the rat suit.
Who's that?
He had a guy dressed up in a rat suit. Big giant rat.
On the Big Bang Theory?
It was the foil to Nye. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's awesome. I like the rat better than Nye.
Oh, well, it was funny on Bill Nye when he was on Big Bang Theory. Bob Newhart played a childhood idol of Leonard. What's his name? Leonard Horowitz or whatever his name is. Leonard and Sheldon. They're both physicists out here at Caltech, and they were like his childhood idol. And it turns out that Bill Nye, the science guy, is the guy that stole Professor Proton's reputation, and they meet up somewhere. It has to be. I think Leonard becomes really good friends with Professor Proton, and Sheldon becomes jealous, so he goes out and gets Bill Nye, the science guy, and he introduces him to Professor Proton. And he says, "Oh, you've always been one of my idols. And Proton said, "Yeah, you stole all my stuff, you ass."
Well, speaking of ass, that's what Bill Nye is. This is just stupidity on steroids here for him. I can't believe this thing. That's I look at CNN thing.
I look at Phil Nye, the science guy, like I look at Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil, I think, was a plumber.
Yeah, I'm watching. They got a promo for Dr. Phil. You can be right, or you can be happy, but you can't be both. I'm like, bull crap. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. Or his famous line, how's that working for you? That kind of thing.
Can't be right and happy at the same time. Yeah. I think I can.
So, Bill Nye, the science guy, is out there reassuring us that we're on the verge of Armageddon as far as climate change goes. And the storm down in Louisiana, the flooding down there, is all caused and all due to climate change. And, by the way, it's going to get worse, according to him.
Yes.
And everybody's going to move out of Louisiana. And it's going to create...
Well, that's what he says. Eventually, they're going to have to move.
Yeah. Well, that happens.
Tell those people that.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. It happens, The weather does change, and the weather does have an effect on areas, on coastal areas like Louisiana. And, things like that happen. Communities move when there's no longer any place left to build your house. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, you know what? You never notice change in the weather because if you only lived at 30 years of old, you might not see any weather change.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. And it is. It's just so. I don't know what it is. It's about this big thing about the weather changes, and it changes every year. I mean, I've been out here in California most of my life. I mean, I'm 62 now. I've probably been out here 52 years of my 62 years alive, and I've lived up and down the coast. I've lived up as far north as Santa Barbara and as far south as San Diego. That's a long stretch. It's about 600 miles, maybe, by the time you count it all, between 400 and 600 miles. And, there's been summers that were really hot, and there's been summers that weren't so hot, and there's been winters that have been really rainy, and we've had rainy summers, and we've had hot winters for as long as I can remember. It just happens.
Yeah, it's called the weather.
Yeah, it's called the weather. Things change. Sunspots change.
Weather to stay the same because, well, I guess they really do, John. That's part of the utopia vision that they have. Where it's 74 degrees, it's 25% humidity, and 2 days out of the month, you'll have a light, gentle rain with a light breeze. Yeah, just enough to keep your lavender plants, purple and just the right amount of watering, so you don't have to worry about that because Yeah, but if this was so horrible and tragic and everything, like 60,000 homes and 13 people killed, that's a lot. You know, the devastation there in Louisiana is comparable to what Katrina did, except it's not the entire Gulf Coast region, because the entire Gulf Coast region, people only care about New Orleans when it comes to Katrina, but the entire Gulf Coast was destroyed.
Yeah,
all the way over into Florida, it was destroyed.
And we have to say one thing here. We have to say one thing about this situation here. You would think after Katrina that somebody down there said maybe we should do something to stop this if it happens again.
Well, this one here, John, was just weird because it was a storm. It was stationary. It dumped a whole bunch of water, and the river started going, instead of north-south like they usually do in our hemisphere, and they were going south to north. They were going upstream instead of downstream. It was one of those. It's just a freak thing. It's nothing that anybody could plan for. Now, Katrina, on the other hand, had 5 days of warning to get the hell out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, though, you would think after something like Katrina, and, you know, we heard about low levees and dams that broke and all this other stuff, and you would think that somebody, you know, all the Democrats are always down there crying for money from the government. Somebody would have said, you know, maybe we should just do something to try to prevent something, if something like this should occur. I mean, if you're on the coast, I live on the coast. If you live on the coast, you know that weird things happen. And you should adjust. I mean, even people out here, you go down to Seal Beach now, which gets hit with the high tides really bad out here sometimes, and you'll find that people that live on the beach have learned to fill sandbags and put things out there that they can, in a moment's notice, can, you know, pull the stuff out. And, hey, okay, we got reports, high tides are coming in. Let's do something to stop it from destroying our homes.
Well, I'm here to tell you, these people were living in. They weren't flood zones. These weren't flood zones. That's how freaky this was. This is not a flood-prone area you're talking about.
Okay. Well, who knows? Maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe it's
exactly. Who knows? Stuff happens.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the hand of God coming against.
You cannot do it.
Maybe it's the hand of God coming against the Democrats. Who knows? I don't know. Okay.
Could be.
We gotta go to break.
I don't know. I'm not that guy. You know, I don't have a direct line.
Well, I know. And I know Bill Nye, the science guy, certainly doesn't talk to him either. So, anyway, we got to go to a break here. We'll be right back, and we'll get into kind of what's going on here. I got another thing I want to share with you, and it has to do with the environmentalist wackos. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Healthy attitude toward human politics will be relentlessly cynical. Consider us health food for the heart, mind, and soul. The ConservativeSyndicate.net. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
We're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And, I often make fun of my wife, even here on the show sometimes, about her choice of news channels. She loves watching the network news channels. She loves, we have, I guess the local channels out here is KTLA, Channel 5. Yep. And KCAL, KCAL, and they're pretty much just localized. But then we have also CBS out here in L.A., and we've got NBC out here in L.A., and she likes to watch these shows in the morning. She catches them in the morning in between her religious programming, which is another thing I make fun of her about. Some of the religious programming my wife watches, I think, is just almost it's heresy, some of it. But that's another story for another day. But anyway, so we get up in the morning, and as I'm walking from the restroom to the office here to make coffee, usually she has on CBS News. And it just caught my eye this morning as I'm walking through the room here that CBS was doing this, 15-minute documentary on the regulations down in Hawaii.
Yes.
That the spinner dolphins down there, the federal government has decided to intercede on behalf of the dolphins down in Hawaii.
They got constitutional rights, those dolphins.
Yeah, because the tourists, I guess, like to go out there and play with them. They go out there and then swim around with them and stuff. And so I thought, well, one thing about the CBS News show is it's very hard to find anything on the Internet about what they do. They don't have transcripts or nothing like that. You might find a story once in a while, but it's not like going on, say, Hannity and being able to go on the website and find a transcript of the show or something like that. So I just started doing the search, and lo and behold, I find out that there's a petition on the other side of the world here over in your area, Joe, over in Florida.
Oh, yes.
To do the same thing, to outlaw swimming with spinner dolphins.
Yes, you're not allowed. There is already a law in place that, if the Wildlife Commission sees you and you're out on the water and you're messing with the dolphins, you're not supposed to feed the dolphins or anything. So they can come by and give you a ticket for doing it already.
Wow.
This, what you're talking about here is just borderline hilarious.
Yeah, it is. It is. Rick O'Barry, who was the former dolphin trainer of the 1960s TV show Flipper. Okay, which, by the way, I wonder if Flipper got a fair contract.
Flipper ended up having to go work for the Miami Dolphins when they...
And they changed his name to Snowball or something, right?
No, they changed his name. He was still Flipper. But the thing is every time they would kick a field goal, Flipper had to do the same thing with a ball.
Oh, I get it. Okay. So, but I guess that wasn't, what's the word, exploitation.
Well, no, back then people had a little more common sense and go, wow, hey, this Dolphin's got it made. He doesn't have to worry about sharks or anything else.
Yeah,
he's well fed. He's well kept. And all he has to do is perform on Sundays. And back then, the Dolphins kind of stunk. So it didn't really matter.
Yeah. You didn't have to jump through the hoop too many times then, huh? Anyway, so this guy, Rick O'Barry, is his argument is, or his justification for this petition to outlaw swimming with spinner dolphins, is because the participants as well as the dolphins are being injured. Okay, the dolphins are, I guess, ramming in some cases, biting the people or whatever. And,
that's the thing with the dolphins. When the dolphin's tired of playing with you, it lets you know.
Well, yeah, and this is funny. This is a funny part. He says it's impossible to determine the behavior of a cetacean. I guess that's how you pronounce that. I guess that's a scientific name for dolphin on a daily basis, especially considering captive dolphins are stressed and frustrated. Okay, so I guess frustrated, and I'm thinking, how do you hold dolphins captive? I mean, can't they just kind of like jump over whatever they if they really wanted to? If you're out in the ocean, because that's what's happening. I'm not talking about putting them in some place like SeaWorld, okay? But apparently this is supposed to be, like off the coast of the beach or something like that.
They're not holding them. How you hold them captive? I don't know. What do you got? Some James Bond contraption?
I don't know. But I thought. The idea here, this is the general perception of what's going on here, is that, humans, just because we abuse and exploit and destroy everything we put our hands to. And so what's happening is we're making these dolphins work all day without a break and without regulation. Okay? And I would think if a dolphin who doesn't sit there and think, God, these stupid humans. I think they would think, hey, you know what? I'm tired. They just wouldn't do anything. I mean, that's what animals do. You eat when you're hungry. You sleep when you're tired, and and everything else that an animal does by instinct, not by indoctrination, not by having. And here's the other thing. I thought dolphins were smarter than us. That's what I've heard. All the environmentalists
been using dolphins
wackos
for quite a while to do underwater stuff.
Yeah,
they're highly intelligent. They can be trained to do certain things.
Sure.
So, but that's cruel. That's just cruel. So that's what'll be next. Is we're not allowed to have these dolphins working with our Navy friends and underwater stuff. And this is just, this is the same thing that they made SeaWorld stop its orca program. You're not going to have these killer whales anymore in SeaWorld. The ones that they have, that's it. That's all. And they're going to. And once they finally are done with that's it. SeaWorld will no longer have that. So SeaWorld will probably go out of business.
Yeah.
And but these people don't care about that. I like PETA to stand for people who eat and tasty animals.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I do too. Now, here, this I guess the real reason I wanted to talk about this is just the way, it's just another example of how the media portrays an issue that is dear to the hearts of liberals, okay? And we know that these issues, everything is feel-good, warm, fuzzy stuff, okay? We're getting rid of the orcas at SeaWorld, okay? Yes. Because they've just been so abused and exploited, okay? And now we're worried about the dolphins, okay? Now, I want to read you one paragraph from this, because this is what caught my eye. This is the real reason I even want to talk about this. Okay. He was talking about... according to the Tampa Bay Times, the National Aquarium in Baltimore recently announced that it's looking into building an oceanside sanctuary for its dolphins. PETA has suggested to SeaWorld do the same for its orcas, because this is a big deal now. Now it says SeaWorld, which has received the biggest backlash from the public, has scoffed at the notion of building sanctuaries for its orcas. But PETA, which owns shares in the company, PETA owns shares in SeaWorld, is planning to bring up the idea again this year. Okay, now, here's the deal. What backlash from the public are we talking about? We're looking at this petition that we're talking about right now has been around since January of this year at least, because that's the date of the article I'm looking at. It has 10,000 signatures. Yep. Okay, now 10,000 signatures is not a lot of people. Okay, it's really not a lot of people when you consider how, if something's really a hot button issue, how quick petitions can be amassed, and 500,000, 1 million signatures, in a few days. Oh, yeah. So this thing has been going on since January, and we're looking at maybe 10,000 signatures. So what is the public outcry? See, here's my point. It isn't a public outcry. People like to go to SeaWorld, and they go to SeaWorld what? To see orcas and dolphins.
Yes, absolutely. They want to see some of this stuff in an environment that's safe for the humans.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's not totally cheap out here. We have SeaWorld out here in San Diego. The cheapest ticket is $115.
Yeah. It's not cheap.
So we're not talking about this being some kind of little fly-by-night operation here, and so but it further points to what I talk about. Try to relay time and time again. It is the media, or it's the elitist, or it's the activists who always want to paint this picture that the majority of the country is on board with what it is they're talking about.
Yeah, I love this last paragraph in this, John. When the shareholders meet this year, PETA will be there to propose its sanctuary plan. We're proposing SeaWorld develop these sanctuaries wherever it's best for the animals. PETA's director of animal law, Jared Goldman, told New Times, SeaWorld, as a global company, is in the position to do this and make it happen if they choose to. Meanwhile, the End the Swimming with Dolphins petition is almost ready to go to Congress. It needs 12,800 signatures.
Yeah. So now, and apparently, like I said, this article is dated in January.
Congress, really?
Okay, so they might have more than 10,000 signatures. Apparently, they got their 12,800 because in Hawaii now, I guess it's being outlawed. Okay, and it is being outlawed under the jurisdiction of the federal government. That's what they were reporting on CBS this morning.
That's what I heard this morning. It was like, because school-aged dolphins need to get their rest so they can play properly.
Like, that's what cracked me up. How do you know if a dolphin is tired? I would imagine if they're tired,
they get cranky.
They don't get bored. They don't get frustrated. They don't get cranky. They just okay, I got to rest. Okay, I would imagine dolphins, their instinct tell them rest. And if you mess with them, it's like a dog. You try to mess with a dog when he's eating. Okay, okay. It's like, we'll let you know when we don't want to be bothered.
Exactly.
And so this whole idea that the government once again is trying to think for animals. And it's all about feeling good. That's what it's all about. It's all about, yes, we've just brought the world one step closer to utopia. Now, if we could just get that damn sun regulated so that we wouldn't have climate change.
We are the world.
And we can get that.
It's the dolphins.
Yeah, we can get that permanent universal thermostat set. Where it's, like you said, 72 degrees with 25% humidity with a slight 5-knot wind coming out of the southwest. Excuse me. If we could do that every single day, and we're one step closer now. We're one step closer.
Oh, yes. Well, thank goodness Congress was going to do this. But I think this is more of some kind of administration initiative as opposed to a congressional mandate.
Well, of course, what it's really about is pandering to a demographic from which they can get money.
They would never lower themselves to do that.
Yeah, and you can get money from people like this, or people that need the grants, people at SeaWorld that need grants to study orcas and dolphins.
Maybe we should pander ourselves to do commercials now.
Yeah, I guess we should, because when I come back, I want to talk about one other thing we've touched on a couple times, but really I don't think we've really paid justice to it. And that is the Iran ransom thing. I've got a few more things I've got to say about this. This, to me, I cannot for the life of me figure out why this has not gone ballistic, way beyond what it should have. And I imagine somewhere along the line is because The right is just as involved with this as the left. But we'll talk about that when we get back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at nature'syouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or nature'syouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call. But I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
All right, hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And I want to get back on this Iran ransom deal. And, you know, it was really hot-button thing for a couple days, you know, until Congress decided to go on recess. It was more important. And I'm looking at, you know, the more I read about this, I don't know if it's the ridiculousness of it or the audacity of it, but somewhere down the line, somebody on the left in positions of power and decision-making have decided that the American public are just a bunch of idiots. Now, we talk about it often on this show as the Gruber theorem, the stupidity of the American voter. But
what they understand is that they have a press that will not absolutely do its job when it comes to this. That if this is a Republican administration, this would be impeachable. They'd be screaming. There'd be committees already. They'd be going to town on this, John. This is a press.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean,
the corrupt press right now. That's what this is.
Let's just revisit the Iran-Contra thing just for a moment when Reagan was in office.
Oh, yeah. You know what the difference between these two is? That particular fiasco made money for the United States.
Well, I'm just talking about the vehemence and the desire by the media and everybody involved on the left to go after Reagan because of this dastardly covert deal that was made under the table and outside of the American public, and Congress didn't know about it. Nobody knew about it, and it was super secret, super bad. And boy, they tried so vehemently to hang Reagan on this. This goes way beyond anything that they were trying to do with the Iran-Contra scandal, and it is a microcosm. I'm going to say it this way. It's a microcosm of the general attitude of the left when it comes to making special deals and everything. This is probably one of the best examples I've seen to be able to take all the Hillary email crap and really take it down. You want a really good analogy. This is it. This is it. Because what it is, this is how the game is played. The denial, the spin, the blame, all the things are taking place here. And because it's one single event here, it's easy if we take this apart and we look at this and we say, okay, now multiply this and expand on it and apply it to Hillary Clinton's stint as Secretary of State, her private email server, the Clinton Foundation, pay for play, all these things that are going on. Because that stuff, because there's so much of it, it gets complicated and it gets hard to discern what's real from reality. This is very cut and dry. But yet the spin that the White House has put on this, it just borders on just absolute, it's almost satire. This is something I would expect out of Saturday Night Live or something, the way this thing came down. Let's recount here what happened here, just real quick here. We had $400 million in foreign unmarked currency flown over to Iran in an unmarked aircraft in the middle of the night, which landed conditioned upon American prisoners being released.
Not prisoners, they were hostages.
Okay, hostages, but we're going to get into that in just a minute, because just the words here, just the difference between a hostage and a prisoner, because it plays into how this thing is evolving in the spin machine of the White House. So the idea was, and this is the way has been floated out there, and this is the story they always come back to. See, this is the way it works. It always comes back to what we originally said is what we originally said. Look at Hillary Clinton in Benghazi. It wasn't about the video. Well, it was about the video, but it wasn't really about the video. If somebody just decided one day to go out and kill Americans, what difference at this point does it make? That kind of stuff. Now, but the first story that was given us was that the negotiations for the $400 million had to deal with an arms exchange deal that went bad back in 1970 and was never paid. Iran was never paid for these, delivered. The arms were never delivered because the Shah at that time was sent into exile. And so this has been sitting around garnering interest. And the Americans, as part of the Iran deal, that's one thing that they have admitted. This is part of the Iran deal.
Yeah, the $1.7 billion Iran nuclear weapons deal.
Right, and so this $1.7 billion that's supposed to be given back to Iran, this $400 million in unmarked foreign currency delivered on an unmarked airplane. Yeah, just that in and of itself. If this was above the table, you could have just said, okay, we could send it to you. And they're telling us, well, it's because we can't wire transfer money like this and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't make, you could give them American currency and flown it over there on FedEx with a camera crew and everything else if this was above board. Okay, now, but the point, that's what's being told, is unmarked foreign currency delivered in the middle of the night in an unmarked aircraft, which, by the way, was contingent on the plane that held the hostages were sitting on the deck waiting for this plane to leave, or to arrive, okay? Now, but the idea was being played to us was what? Two separate channels were going on here. There was a separate negotiation for the reimbursement, the refund of money, and the prisoner exchange, or the hostage exchange, or the hostage release. That's how it was put out there first. Hostage release, okay? So, and neither the two mixed. They was just separate. It was just, the media, the Congress knew about this. We told everybody about it back in January, but the media never reported it. Nobody in Congress ever brought it up. And I understand that most of the terms and conditions of the Iran deal are super secret, and the Congress doesn't even know what's going on. So this is the first play. Okay, now this Jack Kirby, spokesman for the State Department, comes out and says, well, what the president said was true. Two different channels here, two different negotiations, two different teams, but we decided to use the refund as leverage to make sure that Iran would release the hostages because nobody trusts Iran. And now, doesn't that set off a bell?
Nobody trusts Iran? I thought we could trust these people now.
Yeah.
We're letting them go ahead with their nuclear program, for crying out loud. What do you mean we can't trust them?
Yeah, I mean, isn't that what John Kerry says all during the negotiations? We believe we can trust Iran right now. And by the way, if they blow it, we'll know in a moment's notice. And we'll give them 24 days notice that we're going to come check them out. It's like, so contradiction. And this is what I'm getting at here. If you lie enough, often enough, sooner or later, you lie so much that you can't cover your lies. And that's what's happening not only here, the microcosm of what we're seeing here with the Obama administration, but now you can expand that out to the Hillary Clinton email stuff. It's lie after lie after lie, and sooner or later, the thing about lies is they always have a tendency somehow to double back. And pretty soon you're sitting there going, well, wait a minute, did I say this or did I say that? And so you say something else, and it completely contradicts what you said before. Now, let's get into Josh Earnest being asked about this, because apparently at least a few people in the media came out and said, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't wash. Now, they may be asking, knowing that they're going to be, bamboozled one more time, but at least it makes them look like they're doing their job, okay? Yeah. So he comes out, they come out, and they ask him again, is that what it was? If it wasn't a ransom, was it just money that was you're using the timing of the release and everything of the money and the hostages was such that you were using it as leverage to make sure that Iran was going to release the hostages? Because after all, we really can't trust them, even though you've told us that we can trust them, and we got nuclear capabilities and everything riding on the fence here. And he comes out and he says, no. That's not what he says. I've never made a case that this was somehow a coincidence. Okay, he says, this is what he says. The notion of a ransom, I think, is often perceived as paying money in exchange for the release of unjustly detained individuals. That's not what occurred here. What occurred here was a mutual prisoner release. Now, I'm thinking, where did you spin that from? Okay, first of all, I thought they were hostages.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, now they're prisoners. And it was a mutual prisoner release. Now, was he referring to the fact that there was a mutual agreement that these people would be released? But then what were the terms of that release? There has to be, mutual means there has to be one side does one thing, expecting the other side to do a certain thing.
$400 million in unmarked foreign currency. That's what the. That's
the only thing because we didn't hear about Iran getting any quote unquote prisoners in exchange. Bergdahl's already free, right? We didn't hear unless maybe secretly they released people from Gitmo, and we don't know about that. I don't know. I don't think that's beyond a stretch of imagination. But the wording of it is just bizarre.
Yeah, you know what's even worse, John, is the inept Congress that we have. This statement from Paul Ryan. The president and his administration have been misleading us since January about whether he ransomed the freedom of the Americans unjustly imprisoned in Iran. The president owes the American people a full account of his actions and his dangerous precedent he has set. Really, Paul? Oh, why don't you jump up and down and hold your breath for about 10 seconds?
Yeah, well, I mean, why don't you rouse up Hans Blink from Team America and have him write a nasty letter to the president and say, we're really upset with you.
Really, really, really mad.
Yeah, really mad because you've lied to us once again. I mean, just the spin of this thing is just fantastic. And nobody has questioned this. What prisoners are we talking about? I thought we were talking about hostages. Mutual prisoner exchange? What mutual prisoners? Are we saying, were we holding $400 million captive? Were we talking about releasing 400 million prisoners being held in foreign currency institutions? I'm like, and nobody, I've not heard a peep out of the media about this. Nobody. Not even Fox News is asking about it.
Nope, it's old news. Move on. They don't care.
Yeah, it's just more, but it fits into this microcosm with the Clinton Foundation and the things that went on with her in the State Department, which we're going to talk about later. I'm just kind of laying a little bit of foundation for you. The understanding and the willingness of this administration and people on the left just to lie, and then the people in Congress on the GOP side just sit around with their thumbs up their butts going, gee, what are we going to do about this? Well, let's take recess.
Yeah, let's take 7 weeks off.
Yeah. We got an election coming up. Let's all go home and see if we can dupe our constituents into voting for us one more time.
I see it in the meeting now. Hey, what should we do about this? Oh, I got an idea. Let's go on recess for 7 weeks. Anybody? Hey, everybody. Let's do that. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. Anyway, we got to go to break. When we come back, we'll continue right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
A healthy attitude toward human politics will be relentlessly cynical. Consider us health food for the heart, mind, and soul. TheConservativeSyndicate.net. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And we're back here to do what we do best, and that's to educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience, on the politics of religion and the religion of politics. All right, now, we're going to close this hour up a little bit lighter. Only in the sense of the topic is a little bit lighter, but it's just as serious as anything else, and that is the way the media just plays things. So the way media just responds to the way they're told to respond. Let me put it that way. I don't know if we could really get a solid indictment of the media from the public. And you know, most of what happens is the public just kind of throws their hands up and go, oh, yeah, you know, and that's the way they look at politics, too. Just kind of throw your hands up. Yeah, that's the way it is. You know, a bunch of idiots. They're corrupt. They're all crooks. They're all out for their own gain. And you know, just leave me alone. And this is the problem. That's exactly the objective. That's exactly the goal of the left. And that is to wear you out, tire you out, bore you to death, whatever it takes to get you to just look the other way and not paying attention to anything. And you get your news by reading the headlines every night or getting a 2-minute commentary on something, and the media will tell you how to think. And here's the problem with that, guys. The problem is they're doing it effectively. And if they continue to do it, and if they do it for the next 70-some-odd days, we're in some really, really, really deep kimchi come November. Should Hillary Clinton be the one that is chosen by the American public to run this country for the next 4 years. I don't care what you think about Donald Trump. If you think that Hillary is better than Trump, you really need to go have your head examined. And you might start by taking it out of your anus.
It's a visual.
Yeah, and get some oxygen to it, and do some serious soul searching as to why you would think Hillary Clinton, who has a history of almost 50 years of lying, corruption, everything else, along with a death list.
Well, come on, for crying out loud. They just found 15,000 more emails that she was already supposed to previously have submitted to the...
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about that a lot the next hour here. But I want to just kind of touch base again. I can't get this feeling away from me. You know, I try to dismiss this stuff when I think, oh, it could be, could not be, but there's no proof, there's no evidence. Kind of like the thing with Obama's birth certificate. You know, he could have been a natural-born American. He might not have been. Nobody's ever been able to prove it one way or the other. You know, okay, we got a Photoshop birth certificate, we got a register, you know, whatever, but nobody's been able to prove it. So it's kind of like, okay, well, you got to kind of dismiss it at some point in time and just say, okay, it is what it is. It's irrelevant at this point in time. The damage has been done, okay? And if we found out tomorrow that he was not a U.S. citizen, so what? The damage is done. Okay, he got away with it. If he got away with it.
Well, we'd have to make sure it never happened again, though.
Yeah, we could do that. And we'd hear that from the politicians, too. We got to make sure this never happens again. So what are we going to do? Well, I think you might start by giving everybody a constitution test before they run for office. That might be a good place to start.
So start with absolutely arresting every single Democratic hierarchy for proposing this huge fraud upon America.
Yeah.
That would be a start.
Yeah. That would be a great place. This is never
going to happen because we live in reality land, and we know it's not going to happen.
Right. So we talked yesterday about Hillary Clinton being on Jimmy Kimmel's show, and the only reason I keep bringing this up is because the way that this is playing out she goes on Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel takes her pulse. She has Jimmy Kimmel take her pulse. Okay, make sure I'm still breathing. Okay, fine. Ha 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 ha. It's funny, you know. And then Jimmy Kimmel gives her a jar of pickles and says, "We want to see if you're strong enough to open up this jar of pickles." And, you know, that's a low bar. That's actually probably a high bar for a Democrat. You know, the qualifier. Okay, hey, she can open up the pickles and she's got a pulse. Let's put her in the White House.
They had to brief her on the instructions on how to do it first.
Okay, but that she's breathing and she can open up a jar of pickles. Therefore, she's qualified to be the president of the United States. That's the point I'm getting at. That's really, you know, what it is. Okay, now, but this caught my eye here. Google was asked to hide concerns over Hillary Clinton's health in their search engines. Okay? Rudy Giuliani had gone out and told people, hey, if you want to know about Hillary, just go out there and Google it. Go her Hillary's health issues, okay? And Farhad Manjoo, there you go, New York Times columnist Farhad Manjoo, I wonder what country he's from, called on Google to fix its search engine results so it doesn't give quarter to conspiracy theories. Okay? We don't want anything out there that people could read or begin to reason or think that maybe these accusations or rumors are true. And so let's go to Google, our good friends at Google, and say, hey, we need you to do something to kill the search engines. Now, wasn't there something just a while back, Joe, where they did the same thing? They Facebook and Google and all.
Google was asked by the Chinese government to do this sort of thing for the Chinese government. But as we all know, the Chinese government is a totalitarian kind of governmental system as opposed to our system of government, which is supposed to be a free and open society. Oh my, I must be very disillusioned.
Yeah, well, there was something, and I believe it had something to do with Clinton. And there was, when all the stuff began to break about the emails and stuff, that there was actually some effort to, and I think, what's his name? Guy over at Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg. He did it on Facebook. Yeah, there was a thing where they tweaked their algorithms on Facebook, and these kind of posts would not be displayed in the timelines of people because they would not become trending.
Right. Now, here's the deal. We've talked about this, about the idea of the plan of Hillary Clinton as regarding the First and Second Amendments is not to repeal them, but to render them useless. Yeah. And we're getting into this, and we're now back into this area where we're saying, for the sake of the country, what we need to do is we need to stop these conspiracies. We need to put a stop to them. Let's not feed the fire. Let's not give them fuel for the fire. Let's stop this stuff.
Hey, as Don said yesterday, I mean, this stuff's going on in Ireland. These people went to jail for a Facebook post. A lady went to jail for a Facebook post, something about anti-Muslim post, and so she went to jail for it. They will do this in this country. You watch and see. It's coming our way if we let these people in power.
Yeah. So there we go. There it is. And so I don't know what Hillary's health situation is. I'm going to be honest with you. If she is sick and they're covering it up or whatever, let's just hope that something happens after she gets elected, if she gets elected, and we do have to deal with Tim Kaine. I think it'd be a lot easier to deal with this guy. Because I don't think he knows what he's doing.
American people have a right to know either way.
We're screwed either way, but it doesn't, it's at least we won't have to be talking about the scandals so much anymore.
Yes, sure.
Anyhow, we got to go to the break here. We're at the top of the hour here. Time for the Edwards Notebook and pay some bills, and we'll be back next hour. Got more. We're going to get into the Clinton Foundation when we get back. That's what I've been building up to. That's where we're going to go. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
There is great danger when stupid people are in a position of influence. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, recently in Twin Falls, Idaho, Muslim refugee boys from Syria chose to rape an American 5-year-old girl. Now, raping is an Islamic custom, along with adult men marrying little girls. But in America, it is a crime to rape. And when you consider the sometimes overly feminist nature of today's society, it was alarming to witness an American sovereign citizen named Nancy Taylor proclaiming that racism in Twin Falls is the cause of strife between Muslim refugees and Americans, not the senseless act of rape. I find such thinking to be very stupid and bordering on evil. Ms. Taylor is an unwise advocate for open borders and bringing in as many Muslim refugees as possible. Those boys were practicing what they had learned from their elders. The brutal, gruesome rape was videotaped, and for Ms. Taylor to be more vexed over the righteous indignation of such a horrendous act than the rape itself places on full display the danger that government school indoctrination poses to our republic. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Weighing against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, hey, we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we really strive. I'm not going to say we always accomplish it, but we strive to educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience, on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. Now, this is our short segment. It's a very short segment, probably the shortest segment in the show. Then we go to another commercial break, and then we get back in tune, or we get back on track in terms of discussion on topics that we have before us. And I'm going to spend this hour talking pretty much about the latest going on with the Clinton Foundation, because there's some really, again, as I said the first hour, if you were listening the first hour, the ability of the left and the willingness to lie, their ability to spin and detract and really deflect all the real reasoning of anybody that, if you just take a moment to really just listen to what they say, lay it up against what's being shown out there, you should be able to tell what's going on. You should be able to tell who the liars are and who the truth tellers are. But in today's society, we're more worried about everything else than what's going on in our government, and that's to our detriment. And one of the things that we've been talking about is the polls. And we talked in depth yesterday about how the polls have been manipulated, perhaps to some degree all the time, ever since they started taking polls. But just more effectively starting in 2008 with the election of Barack Obama. And we talked about that yesterday, how research out there that's being done, I believe it was the Washington Post, went at it, and they decided that they were going to research the 2008 polls and see how these things were reported. Not what the polls were or what they said, but how they were reported. And they went into depth and explained to us that what they found was the polls that were showing a much closer race were the ones that were being reported on more than the ones that showed more of a gap. Now, there was a reason for this. The reason for it was because up until the crash that hit just before the election and just before John McCain, hit his deer in the headlight moment, when everything crashed and the subprime housing scandal hit and everything began to melt down, John McCain stood up and said that the economy was strong. Barack Obama, on the other hand, who had inside information, I believe, and knew this was coming down the pipe because it was arranged by his buddy Bill Clinton. And even though the GOP party, even though Bush Jr. Recognized it and said something about it, didn't do anything about it. So this thing manifests. John McCain has his deer in the headlight moments, and the polls reversed in just a few weeks before the election, John McCain was out there. I believe at one point he had almost a double-digit lead over Barack Obama. Then the recession thing hit, the subprime hit, and McCain blew it. Obama was prepared to, at least he had a good lie. This is what we're going to do, and this was what has to happen. And he set his sights on Wall Street. We got to bring these guys to their knees, and this, that, and the other. Well, John McCain just stood out there and said everything is fine. Well, it worked to Obama's favor. But up until that point, the polls were trying to make it a close race. That's the point, and that's what the Washington Times proved or showed in their research, is that the media was reporting on the polls that showed the race much closer than it actually was at that particular point in time. Well, now what we see is the exact opposite. We see a very close race by all standards. If Hillary Clinton was the candidate everybody says she is, and Donald Trump was the doofus that everybody says he is, this thing should be, Hillary should be out there 30 points ahead. And Donald Trump should be licking his wounds already. But that's not what's happening. But the polls that are being reported are the polls that are showing Hillary with a large lead. There was one today, some poll in Virginia says that Hillary Clinton is 15 points over Donald Trump. And the polls that are saying that this thing is like 2 to 3 points one way or the other, some of them are giving it to Clinton, some of them are giving it to Trump, are not being reported that much. They're being mentioned, but they're not being reported on. And they're certainly not being used in the mainstream media in terms of the cable networks and the standard networks in reporting to the American people how this race is going. And it's been my contention, and I think in contention of anybody who's really trying to be as objective about this as we can. I'm not objective in terms of how I want this thing to end, but I am objective in the terms that neither candidate is that great. And so it's going to be which one turns out their base, which one turns out the most people and keeps them motivated to go to the polls in November. The Democrats have a real big problem with motivation. Trump doesn't have a problem with motivation, but he's going to have to face other issues. One of them is, of course, the media's portrayal of who he is and what the voters are saying, contrary to what actually may be happening out there. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying it may not be happening the way that they're reporting it. And so that's really, so now what we have is we have the Republican Party, the Senate. Everybody's on vacation right now. They're on recess. And now they're starting to predict, of course, that the Republican Party is going to lose the majority in the Senate. And it's all being done through forecasts and prognosticators. People out there just, giving their prophecies based on whatever information they can drum up that supports their contention. Not that the Senate will go to the Democrats, but that it should. And so it's being reported that it will. And so these are the things that we need to keep our eye on here. The polls right now mean nothing. Nothing means nothing. Come talk to me in a couple of weeks, and we'll find out what's really going on. It's our short break here. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
A healthy attitude toward human politics will be relentlessly cynical. Consider us health food for the heart, mind, and soul. TheConservativeSyndicate.net. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
And we are back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And I want to kind of delve into this situation with the ongoing, ever-increasing, non-effective scandal of Hillary Clinton and her emails. And it boggles my mind that we're sitting here at this point in time, and then we have a viable candidate running for the office of President of the United States of America who has shown and been proven to have violated law, regulations, procedure, has endangered our national security through the hacking of email servers. And people say, well, it was never proven that, well, it wasn't. You think that somebody hacks an email server into national security, they're going to tell us? I mean, we've got people that have hacked into the DNC servers. We have people that have hacked into Hillary Clinton's campaign servers. And now you're telling me that she had a private server that had no security on it, virtually no security, and tell me that it wasn't hacked? I'm sorry. That just, it doesn't even make, you really have to put on your tin hat to believe that didn't happen. And nobody on the other side, enemies are not going to tell you, hey, we have found out what's going on here. Think about the coding that took place during World War II. The Japanese coding system was busted. The German coding system was busted also. Did the United States go out there and say, hey, guess what? We found out what your codes are saying. We know where you're going. We know what you're doing. That isn't what espionage is about. It isn't what counterintelligence is about. It's not how it functions. You're not going to know anything until something comes down the pipe and completely backfires in our face. Excuse me. And then you can tell, then you'll know that information had to have been leaked somewhere. Then you can, but by then it may be too late. Who knows? Okay? But the Clinton Foundation, here is, I mean, when you have the amount of money that's been been transferred, that has been donated to this fund, this foundation, by foreign nationals, by people seeking favor from Clinton. I mean, you don't have to dig too deep. You don't have to dig too deep. And if you look at the history of the Clintons, their entire history revolves around pay for play. Everything. Go back to Bill Clinton's tenure as governor of Arkansas, for crying out loud, and you can find it. You can find it in Whitewater. You can find it with the foster farms. You can find it. It's there. It's there. And most of that stuff has been proven but discounted. Just kind of pushed away in that old news bin that the left always puts all their scandals in. And it just disregarded. You know, that was then, this is now. And the Clintons are playing it again that way. That was then, this is now. Bill Clinton out here talking about the fact that if his wife gets elected, he will step down as the guy overseeing the Clinton Foundation. So what? I mean, what does that really accomplish? So what are you going to do? You're going to put your daughter as the head? Is she going to be on the masthead? You know, like Huma Ahmadine was on the masthead of the radical Muslim publication run by her father, but she didn't really do anything. That's what they're claiming. Is that what's going to happen here with Chelsea Clinton? She'll be the ghost CEO. She'll be the one that, her name will be on everything. Hey, I get emails every single day from people all over the place about the campaigns and everything else, all with Hillary Clinton's name on them. You know, the emails you get for donations and everything else. Don't tell me Hillary's sitting up at night writing emails in between everything else that she may or may not be doing. We don't even know if she's doing anything these days outside of, maybe being able to stay awake long enough to go on Jimmy Kimmel. But she's not really out there campaigning right now. The media is campaigning for her by campaigning against Trump. And she has to do very little right now. Because right now it's worked to a great degree. But we'll see. Because the polls, if they are true, even if they're not true, this race is still pretty much a toss-up if anybody's really honest about it. But anyway, getting back to these emails, I've got another 15,000 emails released, and we find out that there is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt, let's use a court term, beyond a reasonable doubt, evidence that Hillary Clinton and her staff were practicing pay-for-play in the State Department. Now, the left is spinning it like crazy. I think when things like this surface, one of the things I really find fascinating is just how quiet the White House really is on this stuff. We don't see, or we're not hearing the press questioning Josh Earnest about these emails. I'm not hearing it. I'm not hearing anything. If he is, it's not being reported. If they are asking him about this stuff, it's not being reported out there. They're asking about things going on in the White House, but they're not talking about what's going on with Hillary's campaign to Josh Earnest. And I guess purposely so. I guess maybe the White House has put that up there as We don't really want to get involved in this campaign, other than to say that Hillary Clinton is the most qualified person to run for president since Thomas Jefferson, as they're saying right now. But they don't want to get involved. They don't want to get mixed into this, And I bet you the press has been told, hands off. Don't be asking Josh Earnest about what's going on with the Hillary campaign. Don't ask what's going on in terms of the State Department's involvement with the pay for play, because that looks bad on Barack Obama. It's all about protecting his legacy to a great degree as he prepares for world domination, taking over the UN sometime after he leaves the White House, if he leaves the White House, okay? So anyhow, what we see here right now is that on August 22nd, Judicial Watch received 725 pages. I believe that equates to about 15,000 more emails through the Freedom of Information Act, and including overt pay-to-play examples between the Clinton Foundation donors and Hillary Clinton's State Department. If there's anything that troubles me more than anything else I'm seeing out here, I understand Hillary Clinton trying to cover her ass on Benghazi. I understand there may have been miscommunication. There may have been orders from the top to stand down to protect Barack Obama's re-election chances or whatever. I understand all that. But the fact that the State Department seems like day by day is proving to be perhaps as corrupt, if not more, than the Justice Department right now. Because they're doing the same thing. They deny that things exist, and all of a sudden they show up, and it's like, now people want that information released, and there's delays, and there's arguments made, and there's court proceedings to stop all these things to drag things out. Let's get beyond. We just got to stretch this thing out to November, and then after that we'll deal with it then. Okay, that's really what it is. And so what we'll do is we'll just string everything out right now until we get Hillary Clinton elected, and then at that time, we'll spend the next 4 years with Congress trying to impeach her, and it'll be the same old crap. And the left will just be able to continue to play it as that vast right-wing conspiracy. Now you don't want Hillary Clinton to succeed. Excuse me. You didn't want Barack Obama to succeed because he's black. And you don't want Hillary Clinton to succeed because she's a woman. And then what that will do, it will immobilize Congress once again, should the Republicans retain their majorities. And it'll be all over again. It'll be Barack Obama all over again. See, a lot of people think, oh yeah, this will be Barack Obama's third term, and there's going to be all this stuff that takes place, and we're going to move so much farther to the left. Well, that may be true to a certain degree, because she'll be able to select Supreme Court justices, and it'll be much easier for her to advance some of the leftist ideals that they want out there. The circumventing of the First Amendment, the circumventing of the Second Amendment, the influx of illegal immigrants coming into the country under whatever amendments they choose to pervert and twist to justify their actions. And you're going to have Supreme Court justices that will just basically rubber stamp everything. So you're not going to really have anything left to fight it with. But the establishment in the Republican Party will continue to do the one thing that they do best, and that is protect their own interest. And so they'll put the facade out there, and we'll have all these hearings, we'll have more committee hearings, and these things will drag out, and there'll be spin after spin, and argument after argument, and accusation after accusation. And in the meantime, the establishments on both sides continue to operate what's the word I'm thinking of? No one's really watching what they're doing. And it'll just continue to be another 4 years of establishment advancing their own personal interests at the expense of the American people, Congress trying to make an appearance that they're doing something, but actually not doing anything. And that's what I think for the most part, that's what it will be. Now, we're going to have some real issues with the Supreme Court. But, I'm kind of digressing here. I want to get back on this topic here, though, about the emails. It looks like that what we're saying is Huma Abedin, who we started talking about yesterday, we're going to spend a lot more time talking about this between now and the election. I think we really need to start taking a look at some of these major players on the Clinton side and what their part and their place in the entire operation, not only in Hillary Clinton, but the leftist movement on a big scale, pretty much across the board here. And so we have Huma Abedin set up a meeting for Crown Prince Salman of Bahrain, a prominent Clinton Foundation donor who donated $32 million to the Clinton Global Initiative after he was able to set up a meeting directly with the State Department. And the way this works is he went to the State Department, asked for a meeting, couldn't get the meeting, got a hold of Huma Abedin, by the way, or your friendly Muslim representative, and was able to, after donating or before donating, I don't know when the donation took place, but he got the meeting he wanted, and subsequently the Clinton Foundation ended up with $32 million of his money. All right? There was $5 to $10 million given to the Clinton Foundation on behalf of Casey Wasserman for a job. All right? It was to help expedite Wolverhampton soccer player. A soccer player that they wanted. He needed a visa, paid $5-10 million to the Clinton Foundation for them to expedite that visa. Wow. Think about that, man. Talk about illegal immigration, buying a green card, and there you go. Anyway, hey, I'm going to get more into this. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Expand your life with Extendovite. When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com. Expand your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
And we are back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, and we're glad to have you with us this afternoon. I'm glad you take the time to listen to us. And I know, sometimes I just know sometimes it can look like we're rambling, like, what are you really getting to? Get to the point, John, that kind of thing. I don't really like to do that. I like to spend time kind of dancing around with things and eventually coming to a point. And if you've listened to the show at all, you notice that sometimes I go on different threads. I might veer off someplace for a while, but I'll almost always bring it back to the main topic at hand here. And when we talk about the Clinton Foundation, what's going on here, I cannot for the life of me figure out why anybody on either side of the aisle is not just totally bent out of shape about the pay-for-play thing. I mean, this is the key to politics. It's not that that there aren't crooked politicians. It isn't that people don't do this and haven't done it. Maybe from the beginning of the establishment of a republic, there were probably favors being granted. Of course, not as much then as there is now because, there wasn't as much money. There wasn't as much at stake outside of just the individual. We didn't have, quote unquote, millionaires and billionaires. We didn't have global influxes of income and everything else that goes on today. We don't have an entire global economy. Global organizations all working to centralize everything into one little pot like we did. That wasn't going on when our country was founded, when our republic was established. But today, that's what it's evolved into. And the fact that anybody in politics would not see the threat of allowing something like the Clinton Foundation, and the Clintons for that matter, just the existence of the Clintons for so many decades here, going on 5 decades, and nobody has said, you know what, we need to exile these people out into oblivion somewhere because they really threaten the entire establishment of politics. Because that is the premise, that if you lose the trust of the people you're governing, or the people that you're representing in our case, not the people that are governing us, the people that we have elected to represent us. We tell them how we want to be governed, and we hold them to that standard. And so that can only mean one thing. What it can only mean that the organization that doesn't care about the people that are being represented is powerful enough that they can discard us and throw us aside. And I guess that's pretty much what's been going on. If we're really honest with ourselves, we the American people, we the electorate, we the one who elect these people. And it certainly explains the phenomenon that we have going on right now, that you have on the left a number of people, a great number of people in this country that have decided that their security and safety is dependent on what the government does for them, versus almost equal proportion of people who say, no, the government was never supposed to be this way, was never supposed to interfere in my life, in my personal doings, and the welfare of my family and everything else. Their job was to protect our borders and to protect my rights. And now you want me to give these rights up because somebody on the other side of the aisle wants everything given to them. They want to be taken care of. And here's the problem, is that both aspects, or both sides of what I call the political asylum, want the same thing. They want this globalization. They want this nationalization, nationalization of statehood. They want everything put under the central government, and they want the globalization, all of us to kind of mold and transform and morph into one large collective, by which a few people will make decisions for everybody. And that's supposed to be the key to peace. A benevolent dictatorship. There's never been a dictatorship that's benevolent. You know, they refer to England, the King of England. King George was a benevolent dictator. That's what they say. Until such time that the people he was benevolent to said, hey, we don't want any part of what you're doing. And then he became a tyrant. Okay, so benevolence is only as long as the electorate is, only as long as the governing body participates and willfully submits. But when you have to start subjecting people rather than having them submit, then it becomes tyranny. It becomes a dictatorship. It becomes everything that it's not supposed to be. But at that point, you've sold your soul, so now you've got to go for broke. So now we're sitting here. We got many donors have met with her at the state. I believe they said more than half. What was it, 100? I'm going to look down here. Let me look at my next article here. Somewhere around 185 of 154 people from private sector. Now, I want to spend a few moments talking about this because, again, everything's in the words. The Clinton campaign has come out and slammed Associated Press with their report on foundation donors. Okay, 85 of 154 people from private interest who met or had phone conversations scheduled with Clinton. Now, my understanding is also that 15,000 of these emails, more than 55% of these emails were exchanges between private donors. Private donors, that's the key word. Okay, 15,000. That means over 7,500 of these emails were exchanges between the Clinton Foundation, Clinton or representatives or whatever, and private sector. Now, the Clinton campaign, is coming out and complaining that the AP distorted these numbers, that their research is flawed, and the excuse that they give. I'm going to read you a paragraph here, a couple of paragraphs here. Dylan Stableford over at Yahoo wrote this. Clinton campaign slams utterly flawed AP report on foundation donors. Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign is slamming an Associated Press report that more than half of the people outside the government that she met, outside the government, there's the key words, that she met while she was Secretary of State, donated to the Clinton Foundation. It cherry-picked a limited subset of Secretary Clinton's schedule to give a distorted portrayal of how often she crossed paths with individuals connected to charitable donations to the Clinton Foundation. Clinton campaign spokesman Brian Fallon said in a statement on Tuesday, which was yesterday. According to the AP's review of the State Department calendars, at least 85 of 154 people from private interest, again, key word there, private interest, who met or had phone conversations scheduled with Clinton while she led the State Department, donated to her family charity, or pledged commitments to its international programs. Combined, the 85 donors contributed as much as $156 million, the AP reported, which, by the way, happens to be pretty close to the income that has been reported the Clintons have earned since she became Secretary of State. At least 40 donated more than $100,000. Excuse me. 20 gave more than $1 million. And so what the Democratic nominees team is saying, it's utterly flawed data. Now, this is their response. Remember, I'm keying here on the words private sector, private donors, all right? The data does not account for more than half of her tenure as secretary, Fallon said, and it omits more than 1,700 meetings she took with world leaders, let alone countless others she took with other U.S. government officials while serving as Secretary of State. Just taking the subset of meetings arbitrarily selected by the Associated Press, it is outrageous to misrepresent Secretary Clinton's basis for meeting with these individuals. So what Clinton's campaign is responding and saying, she met with all these 1,700 meetings with other government officials within the United States and other foreign governments. But that's not what we're talking about here, because neither one of those meetings involved money coming into the Clinton Foundation. The money coming into the Clinton Foundation was coming in from private sector. So what they're saying is, well, she met with a lot of people, and she talked with a lot of people. And because of that, to simply pick these people from private sector as a subset and say, well, these people gave all this money and they got all these meetings, that somehow paints her in a less than favorable view, there's the play. There's your liberal doublespeak. She's done so much. She did so much as Secretary of State with other governments and within our own government. This idea that you've picked out 154 private investors, private donors, who gave over $156 million in a matter of 4 years, this is the vast right-wing conspiracy. You guys are conspiring against Hillary Clinton, who's done so much. And the Clinton Foundation has done so much for people in the world, and they've accomplished so much. And they've done such charitable work. They're such great people, and they've done such great work. And they're above board, and they're ethical and everything else, okay? Yeah, well, we know that reports are coming out that 10 cents for every dollar out of the Clinton Foundation actually went into some kind of activity involving a charity of some kind. My understanding is they're still waiting down in Haiti for the hospital or schools or whatever it is they were supposed to be built down there. But the play on words here is, it's like everything else. It's like the emails when she was the State Department. All these emails. And the 30,000 we deleted were personal. Personal emails didn't really involve anything to do with government, but they did. And here we have the Clinton campaign once again trying to play it off as saying, "Oh, you guys picked 154 people out of 1,700 and said, oh, this is bad, this is bad." Well, those were private sector people that gave money for favors. Prove to me that other governments were giving money for favors. I don't think you're going to find that, because that's not within the capacity. It's not what the other governments really need to do, unless they do it and channel and launder the money through what? Private sector people. This is private sector versus public. This is dealing with private sector people receiving money versus doing your job as Secretary of State with government officials. There's a big difference, and that is where the attention needs to be paid. We got to do a short break here. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
A healthy attitude toward human politics will be relentlessly cynical. Consider us health food for the heart, mind, and soul. The ConservativeSyndicate.net. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad that you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And, you know, let me sum this up here, I guess, with the time that we have left here. Let me sum it up this way. We know that there has to be something going on here. And I'll tell you why something has to be going on here. Whenever the left, en masse, groups and comes out trying to discount, distract, or deflect from something, it's almost a sure bet. It's almost a sure bet that what the accusation is actually true. Now, and whenever, particularly when people like the Clintons get caught, what do? What you try to do is you try to render, the damage control is to try to render something useless, and you try to do it by either deflecting, talking about something else. Let's talk about Donald Trump's tax returns. Okay, the Clintons are sitting here. They released their tax returns. Okay, we find out that most of the money that they donated to charities was actually donated back to their own foundation. Okay, but let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about the ethics of that, or even the practicality, or even the appearance of what it appears to be. Let's talk about the fact that Donald Trump, who's under audit right now, won't release his tax returns. And that's the issue. And let's not talk about why do we have to do this anyways. Why did we start releasing tax returns of people that are running for president? Well, apparently it started from Richard Nixon, who had some ethics being questioned. See, he was his behavior, and he was being accused perhaps of not doing things above board. And so he said, well, I'll release my tax returns so that you guys can tell, look, quote unquote, I'm not a crook. Okay? And so somehow that was picked up as a tradition. And every president has been, hammered for either not doing it or doing it or something they find when they do it, that kind of thing. So here we have the Clinton Foundation trying to push us off into old news, irrelevant news, however they want to spin it by doing what? The Clinton Foundation moved to head off ethics concerns. See, it's to head off the concern, not address the concern, but head off the concern, to try to nip it in the bud. Let's do something or say something that will render this a useless, irrelevant topic so that we can quickly file it into our vast right-wing conspiracy bin. And every time that people bring it up from this point forward, we can say, that's old news. That's just another vast right-wing conspiracy, and it's old news. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's talk about the issues. And the issues is, where is Donald Trump's tax return? That's how they want to address things. I'm still waiting for Hillary Clinton to talk about the issues. She's saying, Trump's out there, he's talking about the issues. So, yeah, okay, we don't have details. We don't have details from Clinton either. What has she been telling? What has she been expounding on? I'm going to give free college kids. How are you going to do that? We're not hearing the details of that. We're not hearing how she's going to, what she's going to do with this influx of immigrants coming in from Syria and over in the Middle East theater. We just hear, it's the American thing to do. That's who we are. Okay, but what does that mean? What's it going to cost? What's the possible detriment of bringing in people here that we don't know who they are? That's not the issue. The issue is, where's Donald Trump's tax returns? That's the issue. Donald Trump's a racist. He thinks all Mexicans are rapists. He's never said that. But the issue is, he said that they send us rapists and drug addicts and drug dealers, which they do. And if you don't think that's true, I just refer you back to the Mario boat lift back in the 60s under Jimmy Carter, who opened the borders and said, you're welcome to come into the country, until Castro said, I'll get rid of all my trash. I'll send it all upstream, up to America. So, it's that kind of stuff. But anyway, the Clinton Foundation is moving to head off ethics concerns. When we say the Clinton Foundation, we're talking about the Clintons. We're not talking about the foundation. We're talking about the Clintons. It's like saying the U.S. is saying this or that when they don't want to say Barack Obama is saying this and that. It keeps his name out, and it makes it look like it's a much bigger decision, more people involved in the decision process and everything else. So Clinton is saying, Bill Clinton is saying, if Hillary is elected, Bill says that he will step down from the foundation's board and stop fundraising for it. That's a lie in and of itself. You know what they'll do? They'll send Chelsea out to do it. And I guarantee you, whatever Bill Clinton does, it just won't be out there. They'll find some other way to do it. They'll find some other, we just don't send Bill Clinton. We'll send somebody else. We'll send somebody by proxy out there. Let's send Chelsea out there to get paid $250,000, $300,000 a speech so that she can come in and tell you what a great grandma her mother is. And one of the things I'm hearing in the press now, more and more referencing, is to Hillary Clinton's status as a grandmother. The grandmother of two. I think I read it in the other article. Had nothing to do with what the topic of the article was about, but we had to put it out there. We're talking about a grandma now. We're talking about a real American, that kind of thing. So he's going to step down from the foundation's board and stop all fundraising. The foundation would also accept donations only from U.S. citizens and what are described as independent philanthropies, meaning charities. Would no longer take gifts from foreign governments. See, they're admitting everything that they know is not ethical. Taking money from foreign governments, we just won't do it anymore. We've made our $156 million. We just won't do it anymore. And we'll only do through U.S. companies or corporate charities. Yeah, how do you do that? Send your bundlers back out there. Get your bundlers back out there and bundle that money up from all these private sector people and then just put it en masse into the corporation. Or maybe don't even bundle it. Send it in small bills, small unmarked bills, maybe foreign currency like the Iran ransom, just to make sure that it can't be tracked, just to make sure that nothing looks too big until such time that it doesn't matter anymore. Because 4 years of Hillary Clinton might be enough, just be enough, that we get away. The First Amendment is sequestered to some degree, and we can't report on things like this because it's bad for the country to think or to know or to understand that the people leading them are crooks. We can't allow that. That's not who we are as Americans. We're all ethical. And just because our leaders are not doesn't mean that we really have to know what our leaders are doing. All right, guys, we're done for the night. We'll be back on Friday. Tomorrow we'll be playing an archive show. I have a meeting I have to go to. Joe has a meeting he has to go to. But we'll be back on Friday with Bob Cardoso from Robert Cardoso Live. And we'll finish up this topic. And we're going to talk about globalism versus nationalism. We love you guys. Thank you for listening to us. And we appreciate your loyalty. Visit our website at theconservativesyndicate.net. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.